Hey, welcome everybody. I know it's a holidays weekend, so happy holidays. But if you are able to join us because you want to hang out, today we're going to have a pretty cool show. I have a good friend on. And before we jump into the introduction, I just want to say thank you, happy holidays to all of you and your families. Hope all of you are doing awesome. And if you're wondering what we do here, we talk about just cool things about coding that could help you to either become a better developer or land a job faster or sooner as you're transitioning without wasting time, or at least try to. I stream twice a week, 9 p.m. Fridays CST and 11 a.m. Saturdays. And today I'm going to have a very special guest, a good friend of mine. Learned so much from him. His name is George, so I'm going to bring him on in just a second. And here we go. And hey George, how's it going? How are you today?
Hey there, bro. And hi to everyone who is still up on Christmas Eve. Thank you for joining us. It's been good, but
Nice.
Christmas Eve is always a good time to make streams.
Yeah, no, I know. I remember like the first time I met you, and I kind of kept asking you the same question, like, how do you plan a project? How do you plan a project? Because I think starting out, when I got started, the way I would normally start projects is literally just starting in my code editor and writing code, which sometimes is not, or probably most of the time, not the best way to get started. So I want to have you come on. And by the way, thank you for joining us. I think it's going to be awesome. But before we do, George, can you just give us like a brief introduction to you, like what your experience has been and when did you switch into development? And obviously you could also mention your favorite front-end framework that you like to use.
Yeah, Paul already gave it away. So I'm a user experience professional turned code developer. That's what is the summary. I kind of started a long time ago, basically in 1998. So it's been a long road, but since 2017, I've switched completely to development. Let's say companies over the time say, hey, user experience professionally, because I did work for some of the largest corporations in the world, like Deutsche Bank, European Commission, and so forth. Just a couple of them. But everybody's like, hey, HTML, CSS is so good, so why not learning JavaScript? And in the end, I said, okay, I'll learn that, and I ended up doing development. In terms of what I mainly use as my favorite stack, that would be Vue.js, Next, and of course Strapi. That's why we're all here. Strapi is a recent found. I'd say 2019 for me, and ever since I managed to keep bothering Paul or Derek or whoever was in the core team. Thank you for not, thank you for accepting me among the group in generally. But yeah, that's kind of in short. So I wanted to build software. That was basically the main idea, and that's why I got into software development. Because I said at some point in time, it's okay, I know enough user experience, so why I don't go and build software? So that's what I did.
The question I have for you, like, for instance, I believe anybody who's getting into front-end development should like at least take an introduction to user experience and design. Maybe their goal is not to be a designer, but I think understanding why you do certain things is important. And I feel like this is a place where I failed when I first started out. I didn't give too much attention to that. And I could tell by, working on projects, I would create projects that either did not have consistency or did not have a really well outlined, like, workflow for the user, or like what are they going to do, what are the actions they're going to take. And then I also realized that I was spending a lot of time because I would write the code first, I would play with my application, and then I ended up like halfway through it, I'm like, oh, this is not the best way that I could do this doesn't make sense, and I would have to like rewrite a lot of stuff. So can you talk to us, like, why is it important to plan first before writing any line of code?
Of course. One important aspect which a lot of people who get in development, it's not just a question of development. I think it's just a question of almost everybody and any kind of walk of life, any kind of specialty. Design is not a question about graphic design. The thing is, the design is a process of thinking about how you take an idea that you have and develop into a product, basically end to end. It's a process. That's what design is, and design contains multiple, let's say assets. You have user experience on one side, you have user interface, you have graphic design, you have all sorts of skills that kind of collaborate together to make all this happen, including of course planning and development on the product itself. So I think the main takeaway is that design it's a system of analyzing what you want to put out there as a product, right? That's what you do. So in general, a lot of people kind of overskip this step and jump either directly into the graphic design part of things or to the development directly. But before you start to design things, I mean, do the graphic design or the development, you first need to design your product. Try to understand your product. Try to understand what you're building, and then you'd use either paper and pen, and then you start to draw your product. And by draw means, hey, I want a start page. What is the product about? Asking the right questions. Hey, my product is about this. What does it solve my product? Well, it solved this problem. Hey, do I have other competitions? Well, these people and these people. How are they doing any different than me? How am I doing any different than them? So these are the kind of questions that you need to ask yourself, and that's how you design a product. And then you put it on paper. Hey, I start this from here. This is my starting point. So what do I need? I need to solve this problem. Okay, how do I solve it? Like this. Then you take notes, and then you start building these things. Until you get to a certain point in time, and you have, hey, this is my product. I understand it. I know what it does. Now it's time to take it a bit further. And a bit further means first you just put it on paper visually so you can visualize everything that is there. And after you have complete that, and that would be mostly the part of the documentation. In short terms, we call it sometimes high-level documentation and low-level documentation. High-level means the large chunks of the application in concept, and then you start to break those apart in smaller things like low-level documentation. But even if you don't remember these things right now, that's no problem. I think this is going to be recorded anyway, shared later. However, that's exactly how you should start to think about your product and how you need to start, and then develop further. I assume that we have something planned for today, so it's back to you.
Yeah, no, just basically going through the process, and it was like good to see like that overview. So I think like what we decided, we wanted to make, like a series of kind of showing going from start to finish, and we wanted to stay to the theme of like the restaurant idea, just to make it easier. And the goal was for us to first start with the planning and kind of have you walk us through how you would do it, how you would think about it. You could share your screen in a little bit, but then the idea was also, because I know I talk about Remix a lot, I talk about Strappy, probably way too much, but it's important to know for people that that's my personal opinion. And there are other people that use other things like Vue.js or Angular. Well, maybe not Angular, whatever, but like, I'm just kidding. But that's why I want to bring George on, is because I want to give another perspective of building something cool and kind of cover it from start to finish, where we're going to do the planning phase today, and then we're going to, in a future video, build it with Vue.js, which will be pretty awesome. And then we're going to hook up the backend to Strappy. And again, you don't have to use Strappy, but it does save time, because instead of creating an API ourselves with like Node.js or Express and implementing everything, including auth, which will take some time, Strappy just allows you to do that out of the box. And you don't have to use Strappy. I just love Strappy because it's awesome. And that's what I'm using to build my project. And this is what we're going to do here as well for simplicity. And so let's do that. Let's have you share your screen, and you could start kind of taking notes and talking about kind of how you think about it and what's the process of creating a product.
Of course. Let's see how I can share the screen. Maybe entire, maybe middle, like so. Yes.
Yep, I guess we're on. Add that to the chat. Yep, so now we see your screen. Let me remove the overlay. And so you're presenting, so your face is on the screen.
Oh, okay.
It's fine. If you don't want me
So
to have your face, I could remove it too, but I think it's fine. I think just having two
it's
faces would be too big. Too big. My head's too
yeah,
big to fit on the
it's no
screen.
problem. And I mean, far more important is for my face is for the people to see some of the stuff we're doing.
Yeah, yeah.
So regardless of which kind of stack you eventually like to use, I would still recommend Strapi for the exact same reason that Paul mentioned as well. I mean, whatever you think you can build with Laravel or other kind of technologies which are great by themselves, within a week, you could probably build the same thing with Strapi in probably a few hours or less. So it's just a question of speed and deliver things a lot faster. That's why I actually fell in love with Strapi back in 2019, and I've been using it since for almost everything that I built, at least for my own personal projects. And it's very possible that next year we may start also building for another corporation some custom software based with Strapi, because they finally realize, hey, we can build this faster. So anyway, getting back to this, and in regards to Vue.js, I did also some React, I did AngularJS, I did Svelte, I went through jQuery and so forth. But eventually I stuck with Vue because it kind of felt a bit more natural, at least to my own thinking. Especially, I think when Vue was created, they actually wanted to make it easier for designers as well to get into coding, and I would say that kind of nailed it. But anyway, getting back to the exercise at hand. So as Paul suggested, and I actually kind of spoke before, let's say we have a project where the client wants a restaurant, right? We want to build a restaurant page, and let's say how would we actually make this happen? So as I said, it's a design thought process. So for me, I usually start from a point I like to, namely, start very unimaginative, but it's also the kind of standard notation. You can put it anywhere you want. I just hope the font is visible enough. If not, always zoom. So it's a good process. You say, hey, I'm starting from this point, and then what I ended up doing, copy paste the stuff, and you build the colors. You say, hey, this is maybe the home page. Right? I need a home page. What else do I need? Maybe I want my users to register and then log in for different amount of reasons. Maybe I want them to, make a reservation with my restaurant, or when they purchase things from my restaurant, and then I would make them easier for them. So I would say login, or let's say out, and then we can develop that a bit further. So we have a home, we have an out. Where else can we have? Have a menu, because every single restaurant has a menu, and then maybe other things like presentation. And this for me is just a large chunk, and it's what I initially said about high-level documentation. And then we can go and say, hey, what would the homepage look like? And I can say, hey, the homepage might have things like a welcome section, right? And then have the menu presented underneath. And then, hey, we have a footer, which in its own might contain different things. We don't know yet, but we at least know that there is some kind of composition right in this direction. So I think I can also maybe arrange this a bit, something like that.
Is it possible to either zoom in a little bit or maybe make the font a little bit bigger? Just a tiny bit. Yeah, there you go. That's perfect.
How about now?
Yeah, it looks awesome.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, so that is perfect. So we know that we have something like this. I know I can directly go from home to any of these pages. Usually what I ended up doing here is I'm formatting a bit this to my own personal preferences. After that, it should remember all of these settings without any kind of issues. Make it just a tiny bit nicer. So This is kind of a bird's eye view on the process. So for example, going now forward with authentication, I'll say, hey, what do I need in authentication? I know I have a register page, right? Register. And then I may also have a page where the user logs in. Okay. And then I may also have something that, let's say, recover password, in case some people, may have forgot about those kind of things. Go forward with the menu. It's much the same idea. Now in the menu, we know we may want to have different things, right? Hey, what would a restaurant menu usually contain? It can be, the title of the food, the name of the food. Then you have some description, and then you have some pricing. So let's say we have, title or food name, or yeah, let's call it food name. English is not my first language, so I do apologize in advance.
It's better than mine, to be honest. Like your grammar. Sometimes I say words I have no idea.
Hey, no problem. We're learning here. So what I was saying food name, or the name of the food. What else? A description, right? And then we might have something that we say, hey, price. And of course, beside the price, what else do you want to do? Add to cart, maybe, right? Because you may want to order. We have something like that. We have presentation, which is on its own a different category. And what would be the presentation? Anything that is, a general page, like about us. About us. And you also have, what else? Contact us, things that go along those lines, and whatever other things like privacy, terms of use, and so forth. This kind of presentation things. So in just under like 5 minutes or so, we already have a mental picture of our product. And this is the foremost and the most important thing that you need to do, regardless if you're actually doing graphic design, user experience, or the development itself. You first need to define the product. What is it the product about? How would the product look in terms of somewhat of a functionality? So now, usually what I end up doing is like I just put some numbers to these things, and then use those numbers to move forward. But let's say I'm not putting that, but I can do something like this. I know that this is what my product would look like inside of menu, but the menu can be a bit more extensive. So what if we have something like daily menu, or a difference in menu? It's like a starter, maybe you have a lunch, and then you have a dinner. So you can also have those variations within your product. But let's say this is somewhat good enough. But then comes the next part, right? So then I'm gonna duplicate the home here a bit. I'm just gonna move it a bit lower. And I say, hey, I know it's home, right? And I know I have a welcome section. So in the welcome section, I'm gonna say, what do I have in the welcome section? I have, hey, maybe a large banner with offers. This can be something, right? I can also have in the welcome section daily offers. With offers or general offers, let's say large banner with, I don't know, general offers, or some kind of a need. Then we have some daily offers or whatever other things that we might want to have in a section. But let's say in welcome section, maybe something like reservation directly. I'm saying that a lot of the times a lot of people just coming there and say, hey, I just want to either buy food or make a reservation. So it's best to keep those things usually at the top somehow. Well, let's say we have something like that, right? And then we said that, hey, we know how the menu might look like, which is something like this. It has a title, the menu, maybe it's not, but let's say menu title. And then description and price, and then maybe a button that you need to add to cart. So once you have this kind of mental picture in your head, you are actually more or less kind of ready to move to the next step, which means, hey, I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it in some kind of a visual way, so at least I'm starting to see these things. Hey, how does this actually look before I even start actually doing the development? Am I going too fast? Is it?
No, you're doing good. I just wanted to take a little pause here to kind of talk about just seeing this first part. Let's say we stopped the video here and we didn't talk about anything else, like going to the top portion. Like, yeah, like the first part that you did, just so instrumental, because even for me looking at this, I have like a visual roadmap of what my application needs. And I think like if you don't do something at the minimum as this, like you shouldn't go into your code editor. I'm like, especially like seeing this like now, like in more detail, having described it, realizing how important it is to plan first. And a lot of folks that's been watching my streams where I started projects, very few times do I show the planning portion. Is because like I don't plan, which is a big mistake. So I'm really happy that you're here, like kind of sharing this and like outlining the importance. Yeah, and if anybody in the chat has questions, please ask, and I'll like definitely bring them up. But yeah, we could continue. Like this is so awesome. And if you're enjoying this, by the way, smash the like button, everybody. You know.
Before we move to the second part of actually making this a bit visual, I'm just going to put one more example, so this would totally cement into your mind a lot better. So let's call this out, as we said, because the out is the main chapter, right? And then I'm just going to move this here and say, hey, I know that we have a registration part, right? But now let's dive into registration. What does the registration means for us? And then you would do the exact same thing. Hey, I'm requiring from my user at least an email address, right? Usually, that's what I want for them. How about also password? That should be fairly easy out of the box. With Strapi, that's no problem. And then, hey, I want also have a already logged, already have an account, which automatically takes him to the login. It's no problem, because if it's already have an account, then here is the thing. I'm going to put the login here. And then, hey, you have an account? Yes. Then you go here directly. Oh, this is a bit confusing. I think they changed something recently. So you can do something like that. Hey, I'm logged. So I have my account. There's no need for me to create anything. I just go to login. So these are the kind of things you want to build in before you even go forward. And of course, this you can expand to however many other parts. Even if you can see something like required, terms of use agreement for registration. So you can do all these kind of logical things. So now I hope this kind of paints the picture a bit better, because it's exactly the same process. You take every single little piece of the high-level design, and let me just reinforce this here. It's high-level design. And I'm gonna make this, my English is not stellar, high-level design. And this is low-level design. Low-level design. And then the low-level design can be as granular as you want, because you can even take this little thing, have already an account, and make that a subset of the low-level design. But that's the better approach. But let's move to the second part. Oops, I think I have my logged out. No problem. Can you still see my screen?
No, yeah. Well, it was showing before. Now disappeared. You could share it again, and I'll add it.
Okay.
No
problem.
biggie.
'cause accidentally I logged out, and let me put this into view.
No worries, no worries.
Where's the share screen again?
No, but
Here,
this is
share
awesome. I'm really
screen.
like enjoying it. I think it's very valuable to a lot of people kind of see that there's many steps and processes that you have to kind of go and do. And your screen is back on, by the way, in order to like plan. And what I will tell you now, just making numerous mistakes, having this will save you more time. So I know like some people will be like, oh, but this is taking time. Like this is just like all this boring stuff. But once you have this, you refer this as you're building your project, and it's going to function as a roadmap, and it's going to help you to not waste time. And so I'm really like glad that again that we're talking about this topic, because I like, to be honest, on Udemy, I have not seen a single like course which talks about, even in the detail you just outlined, of how to start a project. Usually people already have what they want to build, all the planning is done, and they're just showing you the code. And to me, this is the most important part. If you can't do this by yourself, like I feel like you're never going to be able to effectively be able to create any projects at any scale. So I'm really excited, and yeah, keep going, man. This is awesome.
Thank you. But that's the thing we just said when we started this. One aspect that a lot of people don't understand, it's useful in every single aspect of our lives, is design thought process. That's what you need to think about it. Take an idea and start to breaking apart and put it, construct piece by piece until you reach a result. That's what you want to do. And usually it's just coming down to asking the right questions. Hey, what do I want to build? Hey, I want to build a website. What does the website needs to solve? I know it's a menu restaurant. You may have a home. Maybe I want people to register, have a menu and some presentation, and then you start to distill those into ever more granular parts until you reach to your product. That's how you build it, and that's what everybody needs to do. And I can't stretch enough how design as a general way of life, it's a good thing for everybody, regardless if you're a developer, a designer, a welder, a driver. It doesn't matter. It's a thought process.
Can you recommend the
So it
two, like
helps.
you recommended a book for me? You could share it in the chat, or if you want to like,
Yeah, I'll
and,
share it.
and,
That's no
and then
problem.
also you mentioned the website. I just don't have my Discord open because that's where I like saved all my stuff. But if you want to
Um,
mention that, because I
yeah,
think
yeah,
for people
yeah.
that are interested, it might be a resource. Um,
It's the website that I always refer to. It's in generally NNG group. It's called Norman Nielsen group. Um, Norman Nielsen group. There's a reason for which I point to these people all the time. Uh, these are the people who, in generally, kind of advise a lot of large corporations like Microsoft, Apple, NASA, Boeing, Grumman, Northrop, and so forth. Basically, they are kind of the forefathers of modern design and user experience. They actually coined the terms, and they have reports, books, and I strongly advise for everybody to take the time and to look into this. But if I want to recommend something, I can recommend always Don Norman. He's one of the founders as well. gnd.org. This is the website. And let me see, how do I paste this into the chat here? Can I paste it into the chat? Comments, guest comments. Send a message. Yeah.
yeah, you could do it in the comments. By the way, yeah, there you go. Like, so you could.
Yeah. Is there?
Yeah, I'll share it if I want. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I'll make sure people get
Yeah.
that
So
link.
any of these books from his website are literally an mind opening for you.
Yeah.
For example, this one I strongly recommend, the Design of Everyday
Yep.
Things. So I said it's a process for, and if I remember correctly from when I read it the last time, they were talking about a dilemma. You have an airplane, and then the airplane is flying at a 10,000 meters, and the passenger opens the airlock, and everybody dies. And the question was it the user mistake or the engineering mistake? Of course, everybody would say either the user, because he should have not, you know, put his hands on the door. But you have also the other part of people say, hey, the engineering team screwed up and that door should never be able to open. So in this case, actually, both of them can be right and wrong at the same time. Why? For once, you can have turbulence in the airplane, and by accident, somebody can lean on the door. So that is the first mistake. The second mistake was of the engineering team, because the door was opening outside, and that was a mistake, because when you're flying at 10,000 meters, the airplane is pressurized, and the air is very rare at that height. While inside the cabin, the pressure is very high, and of course, if the door opens towards the outside, it's very easy to blow up the entire thing. But then, to solve the problem, the door should open always first inside. So for once, the user should have never be able to open it, and second, the door should never open in the outside. So it was also the user, because he he was very careless and he touched the door, but also on the engineering side, because they didn't put it through at the beginning. But this book goes beyond that. It actually has a lot of real life examples. And I'm not sure, maybe some of you might have heard about the Norman door. You know those doors where you don't have a handle, you just lean on them, and then you push it. That is your Norman door, and it was developed many years ago after multiple accidents, people dying in the fires and so forth. And then they realized, hey, the natural instinct of a human being when it's under pressure and fire is to just cover, duck, and push. So if you make the handle in such a way that you just need to lean on it and push it, and the door is open, then you have solved the problem. But anyway, I strongly recommend any of these books. So I'll get back to.
Yeah, I was gonna
the
say
other part.
the book that I'm ordered, waiting for the design of everyday things. I think that'll be like a good first book to get, just to kind of see how it is. But here's what we've been doing. Let's continue.
Right. So speeding up, assuming that this is mostly what we may want to build, we also now need to get into the second part of the exercise, which would be to build something that looks like a UI. For the moment, this is a project of mine, which is kind of building and iterating some stuff. So now we're going to try to achieve something that it's, like a website looking, maybe. So let's do ourselves a new page. And then maybe save this. No, not like that. Control-S. And then say, just gonna put it on here and call it a student page.
Yeah, you know what's crazy? Like, to me, like when I started out, stuff like this would be like, this is so boring. Why would I have to do that? But once you've been coding for a while and been building some projects and worked on some projects that are like not that small, you would realize this is the most important step. So I can't like stress enough how happy I am to have you on, like giving us this introduction to, thinking about it from the product perspective.
That is true. So the software that I'm using is called Lunacy. It's something like Figma. The definite difference is that it's 100% free to use. There is a reason behind that, because the company in question, which is Icons 8, they have a different business model. They actually sell icons, or they sell photos that you can use. And they have very cool things, like, for example, hey, what if I want to, let's look for an image with food, right? let's say some food, because this is pretty interesting. I want to show something. Maybe it's not the best, but hey, let's look into this. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna remove the background. I'm just gonna click a button, and then I'm gonna wait a bit, and voila, it's done. Because they're actually using AI behind. They send this to their server, they do all the necessary things, and they return it back as you need it.
That's
Voila.
awesome. That's so
Right?
cool.
So
I know you
it's an
mentioned Lunacy
understatement.
before, but I still yet to try it out. But in my defense, I
Yeah.
don't even use Figma that much. I'm just gonna put that out there because I don't even plan this much.
Yeah.
This is why we needed the stream to teach me how to plan projects better.
I did use Figma before, and they also have black and white stuff.
Nice.
So whatever it fits your desire here.
Yeah.
I did use Figma heavily, but at some point in time I discovered Lunacy, and I say, hey, I want to use this. But it's not just a question of pricing. It's just a question of how Figma did certain things and how Lunacy. And then I found out, hey, I like Lunacy more, so I stick with it.
One thing I'm going to mention to everybody who loves Figma, and hopefully I'm wrong with this, but if you look at the track record of Adobe doing stuff with things they acquire, I don't know how much time we have with Figma because they have Figma and then they have Adobe XD. Which one are they really going to keep? Who knows? Because you can't have both. That makes no sense.
Funny as it is, it was a long time ago for you old enough to remember just PenShop Pro. So eventually Corel bought it because it was literally the better product than Adobe. Initially Adobe wanted to buy it, but I think there was some friction there. Corel purchased. 2 versions later, the product disappeared and it turned into PenShop Pro, which literally destroyed the product. Sad story, but true. Unfortunately, I have no quarrel with Corel or, to be honest, with Adobe, but if I want to go to that extent, I actually dropped Adobe altogether, and I'm using Affinity since 2015.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I have Affinity for Mac.
Yeah, I have it also for Mac, also for Windows, and I have also the version 1 and the version 2. And the nice part, you pay once, which is a fair price, because that's what human history showed us. You pay something, you get something in return, not constantly. So I don't know. This is my idea. So anyway, with this kind of thing, I said now we have Quad HD. Maybe we can do it to Full HD. So I have this arbor, right? And now I can look into my where is this, into my thing here, and say, hey, we have a home, we have an authentication, we have a menu and a presentation. So from this kind of stuff, well, the first thing, let's nail down the navigation, because that's really important for us, right? Where's this one? I see here, and I'm gonna put some text, which I need to also maybe make it a bit big. I say, hey, I have a home page, right? Then I'm just gonna zoom in more. I say we have the menu, right? And what else we have? About us page, and then contact, things like that. And then let's say we have also.
Now, let me ask you a quick question here. And in this stage, when you're prototyping or mocking up, you're not actually looking to do any design work. If anything, you're probably gonna, I'm guessing a lot here, do this probably like in grayscale. Or do you have a preference? Or what is your practice?
Here's the thing. You can also do a what is called wireframing, right?
Yep.
Which is basically something like wireframing prototypes, and they might look something like this. You can actually build something like that, and then you put things. Hey, this is where the menu comes. This is where all the things comes. But after a while, because of if this is a personal project, you can do it like that, or you can just go directly with this and then prototype and then present it as such. But for me, because I am at a certain level and I have enough experience, what I end up doing is actually the design is my prototype as well. Because right now I just place this directly. Okay, so I know that I need these kind of things here.
Yep,
that's a
makes
fact.
sense.
for me is good. Then I know that I may need some kind of a image, large image here. So then I can, use a food product image or something like that. Let's say I can take it from here with, restaurant, something like that. Let's see what are they giving us. Maybe something we can work with. It doesn't have to be mega stellar, or maybe this. No, something wider. Hey, let's use this. This looks good enough. And I'm just gonna make this image as large as possible. Of course, this is maybe not what we want, but I can do a bit of magic here. And I'm going to do something like this. And then let's quickly, this one I need to be a bit under, then it's mask, and that's pretty much it. All right, so I have something like that. And this is our welcome section. So I can go here and say, hey, I have a welcome section, and I can throw maybe a large text and say, hey, welcome to, I'm gonna reuse a name.
This already looks better than majority projects I design. That's why I always find themes, because I'm so bad at it. So this is this is a well needed.
This is it's a, don't worry, it's not such a big deal. And I'm gonna make this black, and then I'm gonna maybe make this something like this a bit, so we can really see what's going on here. It's not the best design in the world, but hey, it's something there, right? So we know we have some kind of a header image here, and we know we present something. I say, hey, welcome here. Of course, we can go crazy with things like this. Have something that it's a bit much more interesting to look, or if we can do something like that, and then align it to center, something like this, a bit more squarish, and then it starts to look a bit more professional, And that's it. Oops, actually, something is terribly wrong here. Okay, that's it. So we're kind of there. No? Right. And if I also make this maybe, let's say, you have here, maybe italic. It doesn't support italic, but that's no problem. So where do you have something, right? I know that this needs to be also aligned to center. So we already solved two of our problems. That would be the home welcome section, and then we have the menu and the footer. So now let's quickly just add also a footer here. Actually, I'm gonna ungroup all this stuff, and I'm gonna delete this. I'm gonna say, hey, contact us problem. Actually, I can do maybe something like this and say privacy policy, maybe, and terms of use, just to have something there.
Now, I got a quick question, because I know nothing about this. Do all websites, as best practice, need to have some sort of private policy in terms of use, or is that just some websites? I know it's a silly question, but
it's always better to have something than not at all, even if it's an open source privacy policy or agreement, like MIT or what was that, CC Open or something like that. So it's best to always have it there. We know it's necessary to some degree, to be honest. I take all of this, and then we super neatly arrange to the center. I think this is the center, right? Lost this. Yeah, now we're talking. So that's how you build your stuff. So we initially started from here, and then we gradually start to go slowly one by one. Let's do quickly maybe a bit of the menu. and then we can call it wrap. But first I need to maybe make this just a tiny bit, so maybe all this stuff, let's say some kind of a grayish thing.
Yeah, but the general idea is that you start with the planning phase first. You outline like you did in the mirror, so you have a roadmap of what you need to do, and then you go ahead and start creating the mockup based on the thinking that you've done. And then once you finalize your mockup and finalize your design, only then you would go into the code. I do have like a random question. It's not a random question, and I just don't know if it's an appropriate question to ask now. But you know how your website is going to have data, we'll have menu items, they'll have different things that we want to say. Do you start thinking about how you're going to visualize your data in your website at this point as well?
Technically, here's the thing, because we can look here. We already have a mental process to our thing and how do we want to build it. To be honest, after I am building also a bit of the design part, only then I actually start to think about the relation things and what is necessary for me. For example, I know for a fact that in Strapi the menu will gonna be on its own. I have a big lapsus right now. What do you call it?
Collection type.
Models.
Yeah.
Collection type. Sorry. So I know for a fact that I need the menu title, I need the description, I need the price, right? And it's very possible that I may need other things later on, like in which categories. It's a lunch, it's a evening menu, and so forth. But for the simplification part of thing, I just stick with whatever is very simple. But this here, the menu, it can be on its own category, collection. I'm sorry. And then inside the menu collection, then we have the title, the description, and the price.
Yep.
That's what we need. And then, of course, we can add different things like status says, does it have an image? It doesn't have an image. For example, to go quickly back here, okay, I know I need an image. So in this case, let's call it for crab food. Let's see if they have something. So I found something, right? That's it. And I know the menu title would be crab stew a la chef.
And I
have something like that. Go on.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly say for people that are joining us kind of in the middle, like all of these streams are pre-recorded, you'll be able to watch. And the idea here, what we're doing is, and I was very kind of George to agree to this. Thank you, by the way, is we're going to, in this video, talk about just the big picture overview, how to plan stuff and how to go from your planning phase to the mockup, like what he's doing now. And then we're going to make additional videos where we're actually going to build the front end using Vue.js, because this is something I was interested in kind of like learning more about, even though I'm like a big React fanboy, but I think it's good to bring on guests who use other things and share their opinion, because that might be something you like more. And so what we're doing now, we're prototyping and designing phase, I guess you would call it. And then we will have follow-up videos where we're going to create this with Vue.js, as well as have all of our data live inside Strapi. So you'll basically have a full stack website based on this design.
That's exactly how things eventually will pan out. So let's say we did something like that, and then we have another noto sense, and then it's a bold, maybe not, something like that, you know. So you eventually end up having all the. Just gonna put a line here, make it, you know, just a tiny bit nicer than your normal things like that. And then I can maybe do something inside, right? So I do have this. Yeah, you can fool around with this for a very long time, and then I'm doing this group, and then I know I have something like a menu here. There you go. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but knowing in advance what you need to build, it can help you bring much more clarity to what you're building. And
Yeah.
because we have built this, we already know what we need to do in the design. So we don't have to waste time. Hey, do I need now a price? Do I need something else? No, I know exactly what do I need. That is the whole point for us to build this. And as you mentioned, of course, we can also think about models directly, because I know I have this menu title here, or the menu, right? So if I have the menu and I want to build a model, I know for a fact that the model might have something like um, menu title, right? What else do I need? Menu title, I need menu description, I need menu price. Price, you can add all sorts of things that is required. And I know this is going to be just a string, this as well. And this is going to be a number. Perfect. Then I can also put limit 256 or whatever, how many things I want to. The menu title might be limited to, I don't know, 70 long characters, and the number of the price is going to be a decimal backward to, right? Basically something like that. So that's the magic.
Yeah. No, this is really awesome. Maybe do like a quick review of what we covered on the stream. So the idea, we started with like high level design. Then we talked about low level design, and then we started doing our mockup, but then we also thought about our data models briefly. So can you just give us a quick overview, like of what we went over today?
Of course. So the whole point and exercise of today was for us to understand where do we start to build a project, how we need to think about on building our project, and what are the necessary steps to take, and what are maybe potential tools. So we started initially to think of, hey, we want to build a restaurant, and then we want to visualize the product on some kind of a small draw board. And for this we use Miro. At the first part, we went for high-level design. And high-level design, it means only, hey, these are the large chunks of my application, right? Of my restaurant. I know I need a homepage. I know I need an authentication system, because the user may want to register to, maybe request a reservation in my restaurant or buy food. Then I need also the menu, so the people can choose from the menu what they need to buy, and maybe some presentation pages like, hey, who you are, about us, where do you find us, contact us, privacy, terms of use, these kind of things. Then we went to low-level design, which means we take one chunk from the high-level design, and then we started to make its own small part, a bit more detailed and refined. So for example, on the homepage, you say, hey, I know I have a welcome section, and the welcome section has a large banner, might do some things, or general offers, and then we might also need reservation, maybe in the section or under the section. We don't know yet, but this is how you build your things. And then we say about the authentication, the same thing, because we took it from the high level design, because we know the authentication has a register, login, and so forth. And then we wanted, hey, register. What do I need to register? I need an email field or address. I need a password. Okay, what if you already have an account? Then I go to login. Do I need to, agree to the terms of terms of not before I register or login? So these kind of things, and this is called low-level design. After we build this, we can easily take, apart, for example, the welcome session, and build something that is actually visual. So as I've shown it here, I know I'm building maybe, for 1080p. In this case, it's 1920 by whatever the height is right now. And I know by extrapolating from the initial, schema that we have here, small drawing board, I say, hey, I know I have a home button, I have a menu page, an about us page, a contact, and a login or register. And then if I'm on the home page right now, which I am, I know I have the menu. I know I have this, what do we call it? A welcome section, which basically is some kind of a nice, interesting image with some welcome and some other things which you may put. Maybe it's going to be a slider later on, right? And then we know that we also have a menu. And then we know that the menu, according to our schema here, might have a title, description, a price, and maybe an add to cart, which we already have. Of course, from here, we need to, cart. We can quickly add this. I'm just going to add here and say, hey, cart at this point in time is 0 items. And you can put this, I don't know, maybe somewhere around here. I don't know. It's a quick design. So then we say we have an image for this, and then we have a title, a price, a description, and an add to cart. And of course, we also place some footer with some copyrights. And as the last step, we also said that we can also think about, at the same time, when we build this, we can also dilute, hey, what the collection might look like when we're going to build this Strapi. So in my case, it's going to be the menu title, which is going to be a string, and maybe 70 characters long. We have a menu description, which is another string, and then we limit to 255 or however much we want. And then we have the menu price, which is a number, and it's a decimal. And then it's just gonna be a maximum like $99 or something like that. But it's up to you how you want to put the price. Maybe this is not a freestyle Michelin, so right. It's been somebody on all the stuff that we build and how you need to think about it.
Yeah, no, this is awesome. I think like as a homework assignment for me, I'm gonna follow what you outlined in this video and create a mirror board for my Dev Hunt project, because not a surprise, I didn't really plan that, and I'm kind of building it as I go along, which is a terrible idea. And so as a homework, I'm going to do exactly what you did here to have a roadmap for me to be able to continue to build out my Dev Hunt project. Let me like bring us back to a more regular screen here in just a second.
Okay.
Oh, my face froze. Sometimes my camera does that, so maybe I won't. Hold on a second. It'll just be a second, everyone.
Yeah, no problem.
Technical difficulties. So it's...
At least we can hear you, which is not bad.
Hold on. I think...
yeah, no worries.
I think I'm back. I think
Yeah.
my face moving. Let's see if I could
back.
add you back here. I don't know, like I have 2 cats and I think they chew the wires in the back of my computer when I'm sleeping just out of spite. And so sometimes like my camera started to freezing and all this other stuff. And like even my video looks crappy, but the most important part, the content and the things you demonstrated was phenomenal. And I'm just trying to click random buttons here. I need to learn how to use my stupid streaming software as well. Because sometimes it does the thing and sometimes it doesn't. And so it's like really annoying that it does that.
If I may share as well.
Here we go.
Sometimes you can also follow me on my company page. If anybody have other questions, feel free to mail us. We'll see if we can help in any manner. Yeah, I hope this wasn't too much of a crazy rush of presenting everything as fast as possible, but I do like to remind everyone we're gonna still have, as Paul suggested, also the development part of the same things.
Yeah.
You can start hearing me, I guess.
Yeah, I think just breaking stuff as always. So yeah, exactly like you said, right on. You should just continue hosting the show. Doing a great job. By the way, I want to say thank you so much for doing this, because to me, this is the most important part. And like George said, this was the planning phase. We're actually going to build this website using Vue.js on the front end. And then for our backend, we're going to use Strapi. I know I love Strapi. I know George loves Strapi. Some of you might not love Strapi. Who cares? But the idea is that we're not going to recreate the wheel. We're going to use headless CMS to be our data storage and then allow us to handle authentication, because it's going to make our lives easier. So we're going to build that completed project just from start to finish. So you'll have these videos as reference where you'll be able to start with the planning phase, then decide, what technologies to use, build your project, all the way to the end. And I think the more you practice stuff like this, the better understanding you will get of the whole process of building websites or projects. And I think this is also even more important if for anyone is interested in freelancing. I'm not interested in freelancing, but I think if you are, like, understanding how to design the product from start to finish is super, super duper important. So let's see if anyone has questions in the chat, let us know, but I do want to be mindful of George's time. So maybe like a
I'm okay. We can stay for a bit longer. That's no problem. If anybody
yeah, I
has any
mean,
questions.
yeah, we'll see. Sometimes chat is shy, which is perfectly fine. But for me, I think this is very valuable skill. You recommended a great resource to check out, and you talked about where people could find you. And I really like, by the way, I know on your YouTube channel, if you want to share the link, you can. The part that got me really excited about having this conversation is your previous Vue.js kind of series that you had there. You started with the planning phase, and that blew my mind away because I'm yet to see any tutorial online on Udemy which starts and covers that in some detail. I mean, what we've done here was huge, because the biggest issue with tutorials on Udemy or other ones that I've seen is they show you how to build a thing, but the design, the thought process behind it, how they did it, they never cover it. And to me, that is the most important part. So I'm gonna definitely reuse this video to remind myself of the steps. And as a, like I said, challenge for myself, I'm going to create this for my Dev Hunt project. And moving forward, any new project I start, I'm gonna start in a mirror board and go through the steps that you outline, even if it's like on a very small level, but to cover high level, low level, mock-up, and then modeling the data in the most basic way. And I think that's already going to take you like 80% there, and you'll be ahead of everybody just doing those 4 things that you showed. So yeah, that's pretty awesome.
That's why I wanted to build my series on YouTube. Because when I started as well as a developer, everybody is like, Jesus, I'm so sick and tired when I see the to-do list. I feel like strangling myself to that. It's like nobody's like, literally, if you take any single piece of language and library out there, so hey guys, let's do this now. Let's build this amazing to-do list. Like, oh my god, not another to-do list. I just like, I want to die and I don't want to do this. So I said, you know what? I'm going to just build this. You'll notice on my YouTube channel, I have the exact same thing with the restaurant, but a bit more evolved because here we were short on time.
Yep.
However, the main reason for which I still chose to present the restaurant is because it's on its own. It's quite. Let's put it this way: if you are able to build a restaurant page with the add to cart, remove from cart, browse through and populate the API, with your articles and everything, you generate all this stuff, you already have built a project that it's 95% of the cases of your entire career as a developer.
Yep, 100%.
That's why I wanted to still go with this, because I was thinking, hey, maybe we should do different. I said, no, I know what I wanted to do, and let's do it exactly like this. So, yeah, I mean, really, if anybody has a question, maybe Paul has one.
I always have questions. To me, this was just very awesome to kind of see the process, see you go through it, your thinking behind it. I think this is very valuable. And I think for most people who are just starting out, like they might be like, because they'll look at us like, look at these dudes, like what the hell do they know what they're talking about? First of all, you have like 20 years of experience prior to, like, I don't remember. It's a lot of experience. And the thing that I could tell is that when you start out learning coding, learning development, this part that you outline is never the first thing you learn. And that will stifle you from being able to build projects without wasting time. And I know this for a fact because I literally keep making this mistake, even as recent as my current project I'm working, where I didn't spend enough time planning out. And so a lot of times I'm just like guessing what I should do or what I feel I should do. But if you have a plan, if you have an outline, just based on the things that you outline, is going to make the process so much easier. So I think this is one of the most important videos like I will probably have on the stream. And I definitely want to keep talking about the subject more and more. And stuff like that. And I think it's like super important. So I can't thank you enough for taking the time and helping us out.
Sure, sure. As the last thing, that's exactly the whole point. As you said just a moment ago, it's a question of planning. So part of the design process, it's also planning. And a lot of people are just skipping this because when they hear about design, I don't care about design, I'm a developer. No, that's why it's called design patterns, design properties, design that, design those, because it's a design, and design is nothing else but a thought process to dilute an idea that you have from where you start to how you're gonna build it, what it's gonna contain, all these things until you deliver it. So basically, it's an end-to-end way of thinking about something that you want to build. And planning, of course, is one of those. So regarding if you're going to do, I mean, for any other developer, and including you, you noticed also that Raycon and many other high-level engineers, they always have planning. They have lots of drawing boards that, hey, this is how we're gonna do it. We're gonna, sketch this, blah blah blah. But they never start coding, and that's some mistake that a lot of people are doing. They just jump, hey, I have an idea, let's start coding. No, don't do that, because you actually, instead of thinking of how you build a product, you're focusing on how to build code, which is wrong. And that's why you're gonna have like, hey, I think I could have done this better. Well, if you would have planned for the beginning, then it would have been the issue.
Yep.
But yeah, that's the way it is. So anyway, thank you too.
Yeah, no, it was really awesome. And I'm excited to get to Vue.js as well. As much as like, I joke around like when I'm like, oh, Vue, like to me, the only reason like I personally don't do a lot of different frameworks because there's so much stuff to learn. And so I made a commitment. I'm going to stay JavaScript and React, and I want to get better like doing that. And I feel like especially being older, I can't like jump around too much. And so I kind of had to pick the thing that I want to get better at. But I'm looking forward to like introduction of Vue. And to be honest, everybody that I talk to who uses Vue.js, they all say what an amazing experience they have and how awesome it is. And so I think even though I talk a lot about React, it'll be like really cool for people to, and I think my video froze again, who cares?
Yeah,
important to
it
see
doesn't matter.
to see what other people are doing. And someone might love Vue more than I love React. And if they fall with a technology that allows them to be more productive faster, like more power, like that's what you want. Like just because I talk about React doesn't mean that that's something that people should do all the time. I still have my strong opinions, and I feel like React is popular enough that getting jobs might be a little bit easier, but I think it depends on your like kind of the demand in your in your area and stuff. But I know plenty of people that
So
go ahead.
yeah, yeah. In regards to this aspect, because since you bring it up, I think we can just briefly discuss this as well. At the end of the day, it simply does not matter which tool are you using to achieve your goal. If you feel comfortable with it, if you like it, just go ahead and build it. That's all that it matters, nothing else. Another thing that a lot of people I see that they go in development and never do is they start with something, they stick to it, and that's it. That's the end of it. I wouldn't say it's completely wrong, but if you were to expand your mind a bit and then explore, because that's what it's called, exploration, you might find some interesting things along the way. And what I found uh, very good for every single developer to do, hey, take your framework that you enjoy, then start to learn maybe something else a bit, and then compare it, or at least validate that what you used is better than the other stuff. But at the end of the day, if you would not really you'd not really find interesting things. I mean, this is how I got to Strapi. I was on WordPress, really. I mean, I could have make a large tattoo on my chest saying WordPress. That's when I'm gonna die. But then I said, you know what, I'm gonna start also learning this and learn that. And I ended up strapping and said, okay, that's it. I like it. And just so you know, I've been using Strappy for 40 years, but in the meantime, I also went to directors and I found the other stuff just to compare because I like Strappy more for any amount of reasons. That is my reasoning. But I don't say it's wrong either way. If you actually like something, and I agree with you, there is so much stuff out there. At this point in time, I'm mind blowing that people come and say, "Hey, we're looking only for people specialized, but we want you to know only this." Well, it's not possible because there's too much stuff. So it's either if you want to build a project or if you just want to find jobs, then learn something that you like. That's what I would say, and then you'll find your way.
Yeah, no, I think it's to your point, very important to explore other things and not be like narrow-minded. And so it's, I feel like you definitely need to have a specialization in something where you feel you could be productive to actually get paid for doing that work. But at the same time, definitely go out of your comfort zone and check out other things because, for instance, like you and I talked about this, where we bring up certain portions of WordPress that of things that they already solved and they do well. And if you haven't tried it and didn't understand it, it's kind of hard to be like, oh, this is kind of something we should do in our thing that we're doing, or like whatever. And so it's allows you to see other ways of doing things, which in some cases could be better or new ways of doing things that you never thought about. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, basically, the progress is the sum up of all the before knowledge. That's what it is. So, if anybody wants to progress forward, just look back in history and see if maybe somebody else did it before.
And
But anyway, it was a good session.
yeah, before we go, I did want to like say that even though you do Vue.js, if you don't have to talk about details, but you had opportunity to get hired doing React. Not that that's something you wanted to continue doing, but and this is something I wanted to stress. Like for instance, I do a lot of React, but I had job interviews where it was for Angular positions, and once you get to a certain point, people understand that, like you said, the framework is just a tool. And if you have experience in one, they know that learning another framework is not going to be that of a stretch. And that's why sometimes companies will hire you, even though you might not have direct experience with Angular, but you have a lot of development experience.
That is true. After working exclusively with Vue and Next for the past almost 4 years and a half, I landed a React job. I can't say I'm very happy about it, but it's been an interesting experience, just to call it as it is. Now working with React and knowing React somewhat, let's say I came to know it maybe decently. Maybe decently. I don't want to go beyond that because I'm pretty much sure
Yeah.
I'm not at that level. But now looking at the paradigm and having worked also with Svelte, also with Angular, also with Vue, and I actually work with Angular a lot more than I work with React. But it kind of gave me this perspective and I say, hey, I know why React is doing those things and why is it doing like that. I can understand. But I also understand why Vue is in that direction or why Angular does it like that. And then I can put it in
Yeah.
balance. I say, hey, you know what? React doesn't cut it for me for this amount of reasons. Vue does it for me for these reasons, or vice versa. So eventually, I just stuck with Vue, and that's where I'm going to move forward. But to be honest, if I am to say maybe in the next few years, I think Svelte might be the one that actually might be the favorable out of everything because it finally removes the DOM. I'm sorry, the shadow DOM altogether, and it's a lot nicer and, to be honest, faster
Yeah.
than everything else. But only time will tell. But as you said, eventually, it's only two ways you guys can go about this in development. Do you want to build things for yourself and just build software? Then only target the things that you love to do and use. Do you want to be hired? Then you have to look at what is the job market and what people are looking for, and then learn those things. There's no other way around it.
Yeah. And On that note, I just want to say, because again, I want to be mindful of the time. Like, you gave so much value to us. Thank you so much for everybody that joined us. I really love the stream. I'm gonna reference it because I think this is the part I was lacking, and I'm looking forward to our future streams of building this restaurant website with Vue.js and Strappy. And for everybody that joined us, thank you for joining us. We'll see everybody next time. Happy holidays to you and your family, to you as well, George. And thank you. And any last parting words, George, before we head out?
Well, happy holidays to everybody. Don't forget, it's the last week of the year. Just no work, just relax, because we'll have plenty of time starting with January.
Yeah. And
thank you.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.